Hello, and welcome to the second episode of the Lazy Hypnotherapist. I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in, whether you're a first time listener or you've come from episode 1. Thank you. It means so much to me that you're tuning in and you're interested in this topic and in what I have to say. And there was such a lovely reception on social media when I announced that I was doing this podcast, and I'm so grateful. So thank you so much. If this is your first time tuning in and you haven't yet listened to episode 1, I highly recommend going and doing that, just because it will give you a really good foundation and base of just, what it is that I do, why I do what I do, and essentially who I am, which might be helpful to know if you're listening to what I have to say. And yeah, just that's where you can kind of get to know a little bit more about me. But I am Lily. I am your resident hypnotherapist and trainer of conversational hypnosis. I have been doing this for about 5.5 years now, and I finally feel like I'm at a place where this podcast can exist and be one that's really informative, educational, and purposeful. So thank you. Today I really want to talk about the foundations of what the heck conversational hypnosis actually is, and even more importantly, how it differs from the more traditional style of hypnosis. It's a question that I get asked a lot, as well as what the difference is between conversational hypnosis and just traditional talk therapy. And you can understand exactly why these questions exist and why they are questions that I get every single day, because what is known about hypnosis is the very standard stage hypnosis, get into a really deep state of trance, and then do work from there. And typically when it comes to hypnosis that isn't the stage hypnosis, people think of it as for smoking and addictions and phobias and things like that. And while those things absolutely exist and are very effective in their own form, it's not what I do. And it's not necessarily what I am really passionate about within this space. As many of you know, what it is that I do with my one-to-one sessions with my clients is I work predominantly in the anxiety and eating disorder space. And conversational hypnosis for those kinds of things is absolutely, in my opinion, the best way to go about it in terms of hypnotherapy. Because what we're able to do, which is absolutely what is needed when it comes to things like anxiety and eating disorders, is a really tailored approach that is very specific to what the person in front of you is going through. And it really needs to be that way for issues that are as serious as things like anxiety and eating disorders or any other sort of mental health concerns. Not that addictions and phobias and smoking and things aren't, but just from my experience, they definitely need that more tailored approach. So when we talk about like the difference between these things, I guess we have to understand first what each is. The thing that traditional hypnotherapy and conversational hypnotherapy have in common is, of course, that we are working with the subconscious mind. That is kind of the thing that ties them together and ties a lot of these other subconscious approaches together, is we are working on that deeper level. And just a quick little, summary of that, the subconscious mind, gosh, it's the most underrated thing in the whole world. Like it runs everything. It runs majority of our bodily functions. It's where all of our feelings, our emotions, our long-term memories are stored. And the reason that that's of course important is because that determines behavior, that determines our actions in this world, that determines what we do. And our whole lives are basically run from this subconscious mind, but I don't think we're necessarily paying enough attention to it and learning to work with it, because our subconscious mind is working all the time. It never stops. It never ever stops, and we are constantly being influenced by our subconscious mind. But not a lot of us are doing enough to understand it, to work with it. Because if we don't learn to work with it, it does its thing anyway, and oftentimes it is unintentionally working against us and what's in our best interest, and it's just purely running on that survival mode. So that's what they have in common, is that we want to be working with this subconscious mind. Now, traditional hypnotherapy does that in a couple of different ways. And when we say traditional hypnotherapy, there's lots of different styles and ways of doing that, but at its essence is essentially guiding the client in front of you into a deeply relaxed state, which typically happens through progressive muscle relaxation. So you may have done that even in a meditation where you go through your whole body and imagine relaxing each and every muscle, every single part of your body, to just get to a really deep state of relaxation. Typically what they want to be getting into is the theta brainwave. And that's the brainwave that hypnosis works the best in. It's where we're the most receptive and suggestible. So that would be typically the first part of a hypnosis session. And then dependent on the technique that you learn, there's different sort of steps from there. But typically, at least the way that I learned, it was very, very structured. So what you would do is you would essentially read a script to get your client into a relaxed state, and then you would regress them to certain memories. You would do inner child work, where you'd have them imagine their inner child and speaking to them and things like that. And then you would, you'd want to be reframing the memories and doing some sort of, parts work. Sometimes people do sort of like visualizations in the future and using metaphors to kind of just like rewire these neural pathways. And then typically what hypnotherapists would do would be maybe to do a recording for the client to listen to for maybe a month after the session every day, to really implant these affirmations, these metaphors, these visualizations, and to create permanent change in that way. Now, I did that kind of hypnosis for a very long time, well, maybe a couple of years, and as I said in my first episode, I found it to be really good, but to be inconsistent. So sometimes it would work amazingly, and then other times it wouldn't. And what I also found, and what now I don't do within my sessions, is it's quite forced. So you ask your client to go back to memories that they might not necessarily need to go to, but that just pop up into their mind with you kind of instructing them to go there. Like, it's a bit forced, and oftentimes we don't need to do that, and it can be more triggering to the client than not. And I found it too structured, and I found that it was very, I want to say this without like sounding, I don't know, I'm just going to say I found it boring. I found that I would be, reading this script of getting them into a relaxed state, and then I knew straight away, yep, now I do the memories, then I do the inner child stuff, then I do this, then I do this. And I was just finding that I was really, really bored with it. And I found every session to be quite similar. I felt drained after because I felt like I was just kind of on autopilot, like the whole day doing the same thing. Nothing felt fresh. Nothing felt super fulfilling, I think. And then, you also have to rely on the client to listen to the recording every day, and that they often didn't enjoy. Like, the feedback that I got from a lot of my clients was that they began to find it quite monotonous, that they didn't like the visuals, not that they didn't like them, but they struggled to visualize. And oftentimes, the biggest thing that clients would say would be, I don't know if I was doing this right. Like, the whole time I was questioning whether or not I was in hypnosis or whether or not I could be hypnotized. And they found that they got in their head a bit, which, working with clients with anxiety is not necessarily helpful. And I don't want to be sounding like I'm because I can just kind of hear it in my head, sounding like I didn't get any results with that and that it wasn't good. I really did, because it's a proven way of getting results for clients. It's tried and tested, and it is a good way of doing it. But for me, just as the practitioner, I didn't find it as enjoyable, which I found just towards the end, I couldn't put my all into it anymore. And that, as I said, the results weren't consistent. And you'll hear that with a lot of people that talk about having hypnotherapy. Some people will say, oh my gosh, it changed my life. And then other people will say, I walked out of the room and felt the exact same, and nothing changed. So you can sort of see it just anecdotally as well in the world that it could be quite inconsistent. So that's that more traditional style. For me, just wasn't doing it anymore. Then I started discovering conversational hypnotherapy. And for me, it changed the game completely. It changed my business, like the amount of clients that I would get, just because my results just got so much better. But it just also changed the way I feel within my business. And I think that that's a really important part of it. How you feel in your business and how you feel in your practice and what you feel you're getting for your clients and what that also does for you. Because if, like I experienced, if you feel like you're getting inconsistent results, you start to doubt yourself, you start to question what you're doing, you start to question, am I even, making an impact? Am I doing what I set out to do? Whereas with this, I feel so much more fulfilled and so much more like I'm really making that impact that I so badly want to, as we all do. If you are in, any type of helping profession, you want to help. And conversational hypnotherapy made me feel like I was really helping. So essentially, conversational hypnotherapy, instead of directly getting your clients into a trance and then having a structured set out session from there, you allow the natural state of hypnosis that occurs in every single conversation we ever have. You allow that to occur, and you use those moments to facilitate change and breakthroughs for your clients. So the way that works, essentially, in every conversation we ever have, we go in and out of moments where we are more tapping into that subconscious mind. So when we're kind of like searching internally for the information, and there's multiple different ways that we can tell when a client is speaking from their subconscious mind as opposed to their conscious, logical thinking mind. That's what I teach within my Master Conversational Hypnosis online course. I teach you how to spot and how to utilize these subconscious moments that occur throughout a conversation within session. So basically, we are using those moments that naturally occur to facilitate change. So the way that a session typically starts is I just say, all right, what's the problem? And then we use the moments that occur from there as like little doorways into the problem, into the core of the problem. We keep searching for those subconscious moments and using them. And then I teach you what to do with those moments to kind of just guide your client to change. We're not ever forcing anything. We're not ever giving advice. We're not ever telling them what to do or how to look at a situation. We're just asking the questions. We're just pointing things out that we see and seeing where they take that. And when they have these subconscious moments and they create these breakthroughs, or what I call like these little light bulb moments, from that subconscious state, things shift and they feel it. It's like the classic Oprah cliche aha moments. That's what's happening in sessions. My clients are just constantly having these aha moments where things just shift. And it's because the questions I'm asking are eliciting subconscious moments that are opening up the doorways to change. That's what's happening. And it's a really, really cool thing when you see your clients have these aha moments where things just shift. And oftentimes the hypnosis part happens through them just like processing it, and you can literally see them processing. Oftentimes clients will just be kind of like staring into the distance, and I just let them process. And sometimes that will be like 5 minutes of them just staring and processing. And that's what I love the most about it, is you can see them doing the work for themselves. And I teach you how to encourage that within your clients as well, how to encourage that processing and to facilitate that, going even further. And you can just see their minds ticking away and just shifting and changing things. It's a really, really cool thing to see. But as you can see, the difference between traditional hypnosis and conversational is that nothing is forced, essentially. So for my sessions, I will never say, hey, take me to a traumatic memory. I will never say, what would your inner child do or say or whatever. I will never say that. But what will happen, and does happen very often, is my clients will just randomly start talking about a memory. Or they'll start talking about their childhood self. And you're going, that's a memory regression. Oh, that's some inner child work. Or they'll start talking about a feeling And you go, oh, that's a bit of parts work. But none of it was forced. They got there on their own. And that is what I know is the biggest difference, is that is how change is created, when they get there on their own. Because how do I know what's going to work best for them? I can't. I don't know. I know what's going to work best for me. But I can't tell them what's going to work best for me, because that won't work the best for them. We just guide them to create the change on their own. And that is the way that change sticks. Because you will know this, everyone will know this. If someone tells you to do something, and it could be the best thing that you could possibly do for yourself, if you haven't decided it and you haven't got there on your own, that amazing, incredible advice won't do anything for you, because it has to come from you. That's why we can't force anyone to change. We can't force anyone to do anything. We can't. They have to get there on their own if we want sustainable change. And that is how we get the best results. I learned that from such a young age, from going through my eating disorder, as my parents, my nutritionist, my psychologist, my everything would tell me exactly what I needed to do. But until I had been able to make the change internally, I could not do it in the external world. I just couldn't. I couldn't. But no one can. No one can unless they make the change on their own. So that is the biggest difference between the two, is that nothing is forced, nothing is structured. And also, I don't prep for my sessions. I have a discovery call with my clients and I go over, what they're going through, and if I think that I can help them, of course. But I don't go, okay, this client is struggling with anxiety. Okay, I'm going to prepare an anxiety script. Because how could I possibly know that what's in that anxiety script is going to somehow magically resonate with the person in front of me? There's no possible way. There's just not. We allow what the client gives us to utilize in the moment, which I give you all the tools to be able to do that. And we just use what they give you. We don't use anything other than what they give you. We don't use any preconceived ideas about anxiety. We don't use any preconceived ideas about the themes of anxiety, eating disorders, or whatever it is that you work with. We just don't. We just utilize what the person in front of us is giving. And that's how we get really, really good change. And then, the difference then between conversational hypnosis and traditional talk therapy is, I'm sure you've guessed it by now, it's what we're looking for within their answers. So we are only utilizing the subconscious information that the client in front of us is giving. We obviously take note of the conscious information, but we kind of just store it away, and we kind of just go, okay, that's just conscious, that's just whatever. And we only use the subconscious information, because we know that in their subconscious mind, that is where the anxiety is stored. That's where the eating disorder is. That's where the phobia, the whatever it is, that's where it is. So why would we use any of this kind of conscious fluff when we just want to get to the heart of it? And that's the biggest difference. It's the questions that we're asking. It's the subconscious information that we are looking for, and it's what we do with the subconscious information to help facilitate the change on the client's end. So I kind of call it, it's this no BS approach, right? There's no fluffing about, there's no, there's just no BS. We just get to the heart of things. That's why we're able to get things done quickly. That's why we're able to have sessions with clients and they don't have to see us for months and months and months. It's how we're able to position ourselves as experts in this field, because we get the good results. So I want all of my students to lead with that, with their results. If you are getting these good results, lead with that. That is how the clients will come to you, because they'll see you as an expert in your field. You can tell that I'm quite passionate about this. I'm getting riled up just just talking about it. But yeah, those are the big differences. It's why I love conversational hypnosis so much, because it's subtle, it's no BS, nothing's forced, it's just natural. And, often clients will kind of, a week goes by after our session and they'll, maybe not have noticed heaps, but then they'll look back and they'll go, I usually would have reacted to that situation in this way, or I usually would have done that and I did this instead. And, they just start to subtly notice these changes just weave in throughout their lives. And that's what I really like as well, because we know that that is what is sustainable change. So I will leave you there for the day for this episode. I hope that made sense. I hope that that gave you a really clear understanding of the differences between the three there. And if you are interested in learning more, there's a couple ways you can do that. One, you can just message me and we can have a chat and I can tell you a little bit more. Or if you're ready to just get straight in there, you want to start learning, you want to add conversational hypnosis into your therapy practice, whether you're an existing hypnotherapist looking to ditch the scripts, whether you are a nutritionist, dietitian wanting to get deeper, more long-lasting results from your eating disorder clients, whether you're a counselor, therapist, kinesiologist, whatever it is, and you're just wanting to get those deeper, long-lasting results, you can sign up to my Master Conversational Hypnosis course right now. You can start learning straight away with the recorded online content, and then you get access to all future live trainings. If you are, wanting to sign up, but you're like, the cost, so the whole cost is $9.97, and that's for lifetime access. On the page, it gives you an option of a payment plan as well. It splits it into two. So there's always that option. But yeah, I'm so excited to welcome more and more of you into the course and to get to know you all, to train with you, to do the live trainings. It's so, so exciting. So yeah, that's there for you. All the links are in my bio, in the show notes, and I will speak to you all next week. All right, bye.